So I just saw this post on Twitter and I wanted to make a video about how ridiculous it is and how it's a great example on how this is a cult and how the words that they use don't really make any sense, right? So, I mean, let's think about what she's saying here. Her entire career, she's only had one client, the people. Okay, so first of all, right off the bat, I mean, yeah, we all kind of know it's shorthand, but it's really important to analyze these or shorthand for like these concepts that we have, but it's important to analyze these and how it plays out in reality as a practical matter, right? So first of all, she only had one client, millions of different people. Okay, so I mean that just it's just gibberish. It's literal gibberish to kind of make us all think we're part of this group and this is our group making these rules for us and these are our representatives and all this other stuff. And so just think about also how the court system under this monopoly statist perspective works. So you also prosecuted some of your clients. Like that doesn't, so while in the time that you were prosecuting, like while you were prosecuting or while your office was prosecuting some of the people who were your clients in the state or the city, whatever you want to talk about, um you were prosecuting your client. Like both everybody in the room was your client at that point. The plaintiff and the defendant are both your client. Like, I mean, statism literally makes no sense, right? Government makes no sense. Um, and you can see how this is, kind of related to we are the government and all that stuff, which you don't hear much anymore, which is pretty interesting to me. And I think it just kind of fell by the wayside because things have become so divided. Like when they're screaming and crying in the streets when Trump won, and then the Republicans, maybe even going back to Obama. I think Obama was maybe the big polarizing event because, of course, probably some of the racists had to do with it, but mostly his economic outlook with the government being involved in healthcare. That was very big at the time, right? So yeah, interesting. So from there, it just got so divided that I think we are the government fell by the wayside, right? Because they do not identify with these people so much that it doesn't even come in their mind that we are the government. They don't believe in that nonsense propaganda, which is good, but it's really kind of not. It's still just kind of a wash because they believe in Marxism or some other ridiculous economic nonsense that's just kind of like counteract the fact that they don't agree with that other particular side that pretty much believes, you know, 98% of the same thing, more or less. I mean, pretty much 100% where it really matters, which is the belief in authority. But, right, yeah, just very ridiculous post. And I mean, it is interesting, though. It has 2,000 quotes. This was posted earlier. 60,000 likes, that's kind of a lot, but that's really not that much, but it has had 4.5 million views. Uh, it's just, I laughed when I saw this and it was like, wow, well, that's a perfect time for me to talk about the court system. I mean, thinking about the court system, everybody in there, except if you have a private defense attorney, he doesn't necessarily work for the state, but he's still kind of part of he still has to go through all of their training and they have to give him the say so and they end up knowing each other and being buddies anyway from school and the bar and everything. So the entire courtroom, basically, if you have a public defender, most especially, is basically all working for the same organization, right? Like the judge works for the state, the prosecutor works for the state. If you've got a public defender, so-called, state lawyer, then he also works for state. So how is this not like conflict of interest just all up and down the place? And this right here, it's just like my entire career has just been one giant conflict of interest and nonsense gibberish. Because, my client are the people, well, I'm prosecuting somebody for the state who has committed a crime against someone else. So I mean, but how is that? So that when you are prosecuting him, is he no longer your client? No, of course he's still a so-called citizen, right? So just total gibberish. It is interesting, like how much it is becoming like so much more culty, and it always has been a cult. It's not like this is. It's just like it's all coming to the front right now. Like these guys have been flip flopping on their propaganda and what they say they believe and what they're going to do so much. It's just like it's a indication, I think, that I mean the thing is really hanging on by a thread. Like people when they got to hit you this hard with complete nonsense propaganda all the time, it's, in my opinion, a sign that, you know, they're losing their grip. You know, they constantly have to bombard us with propaganda anyway to keep the whole thing going. Otherwise, if people stop to think about it, they'd be like, why do we even need these politicians? So they hit you, you know, for years and years and years in the so-called education system, and it still doesn't even take all the time. So then they gotta, you know, keep hitting you after on the news, and you know, of course, everybody comes out of the system believing in it, so they just go into the world and report through the lens of a statist. But yeah, just very culty, and this one was a great opportunity, I thought. So all right, I'll end it there and stop repeating myself because I think I did that several times. All right.